Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today, I'm going to share my tone secrets for dialing in full dynamic low end without getting the flub that can happen when you push too much bass frequency. Most of the amps in the Helix universe are based on real amps, and the tone stacks are designed to react similarly to the real deal. For example, Fender amps can be known for being flubby if you crank that bass too much, and the modeled version does that as well. This is one of the reasons pedals like tube screamers exist, to help cut off that low end and just kind of fix the EQ focus of your guitar. I'm going to be dialing in 3 different amps today. We're going to do the US Super Vib, which is based on a Fender Super Reverb, the Cali Texas Channel 1, which is based on a Mesa Boogie, which is designed after a Fender Blackface, and so I think that might be like a deluxe reverb, something in that range, but with the Mesa Boogie twist. And then we're going to do the Grammatico GSG, which is based on a Dumble, I think the Overdrive Special. I'll be going for an edge of breakup tone with all 3 of these amps, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to run through some sound samples so you can kind of hear how they sound back to back and some of the characteristics that are unique to each one. All right, let's do it. The first one we'll dial in will be the US Super Vib. So let's see, this is how it is when you click on it right off the bat, and we're going to see how that sounds. Not terrible, but we can make it better. Let's kick up our drive to 6. Bring our channel volume up. I prefer it with the right switch off. All right, now what we'll do is sweep through the tone stack and just see what these controls do, if they just take away frequencies or if they add stuff as they go down. So let's hear this. So it gets a bit bright, so for sure bass is coming down. It gets a bit flubby. Bring that down. Let's try 2.5. All right, the mids. Not a whole lot of change there. Sounds good when it's cranked. We'll bring that down to 9. All right, treble. So it's just taking treble out. Gets a little bit dark. And it gets pretty thin when it's all the way up. So we'll want to bring that down. Let's try 7. All right, I just did adjust the mid, so that does sound good. And then the presence, there's not a presence on this amp. So this is going to add some higher frequency that doesn't exist on the amplifier itself. So I'm not sure if we'll keep it, but we'll see what it does. All right, that's good. Let's adjust now the bottom end here. I always adjust these. This is part of the tone secret. So first is knowing what to do with the bass control. Having that all the way up isn't good, but you do have to have some. So for this amp, we're going to be somewhere in that lower 0 to 3, 3.5, depending on your guitar. But with sag, it gives us a little bit of feel with the amp, so it kind of softens the breakup. right, that's good right there. And then hum is the secret sauce. So we don't want it all the way down for sure, but here's how it sounds with it down. Kind of adds a little bit of a brittle tone. And then all the way up, you can hear it humming in the background. Bring it down, we'll go 7.5. So it's adding some low-end information that isn't bass frequency, but it's adding fullness to our overall sound. All right, let's adjust ripple. So that's doing a similar thing. It's adding a little bit more of a low information to our overall tone. I like that right there. And then the bias, we're going to sweep it all the way down, all the way up, and settle at the peak in the middle. We'll go 5.5. All right, and bias X. It's pretty brittle all the way down, and it's quite a bit of compression happening when it's all the way up. But it also smooths out some of the breakup, so that's a good thing. So we're going to want to bring that down so that we have some good breakup, but we're not quite compressing that much. Right, that's pretty good. We'll save that. Now we're going to go on to the Cali, Texas channel 1. All right, just to make sure, this is the stock setting. All right, drive is at 6.8, master is at 5. Not terrible. Let's bring that down to 6. Channel volume, let's bring up. It's a bit quiet. And then the master will bring up to 6 as well. That's better. All right, let's do the bass sweep. Pretty flubby. All right, we'll bring that down. Let's try it around 3. 2.5. All right, the mids. It took a little bit of volume down, a lot of the fullness as well. All right, that sounds pretty good. Let's see, we'll bring it down a little bit. Sound a little bit flubby. And then treble. All right, that's getting flubby too. So it's not just removing treble. It seems like something else is happening in there as well. And for my ears, that's a little bit brittle. So we'll bring that down. All right, and then we'll do the presence. All right, I like that. We'll go ahead and keep the presence out on this one. All right, let's see. This one doesn't have hum, but we have sag, so let's see what that's going to do for us. it just softens that breakup. That's what that's going to do on every amp. It's just going to kind of soften. It's going to give the kind of a tube reaction to your playing. So I like that at 7.5. All right, ripple. I'll put that at 6.5. All right, and then bias X. That's good. I look for the peak. It kind of like ramps up and back down as you go from 0 to 10. So I look for that point where it peaks, and that's where I set it. It's not always at 5. A lot of times it's at 5.5 or 4.5. So, but that's where it's going to work out here. And similarly here with the Super Reverb, when you push that bias X up to 10, it compresses, but it also forces some breakup. So bringing it down keeps it smooth, but still lets it do that kind of creamy thing to our overdrive. We'll save that, and then we'll add our compressor. All right, and then our holy mid-range. All right, save it. All right, now we're on the Grammatico GSG. These are the stock settings, and let's just run through it. So I'm going to keep the drive right there. It's a bit quieter, and this is the first amp that I noticed that the channel volume and the master volume were set real low on the stock settings. Usually it's higher. I know like on the US Super Vib, master is at 10. So come back down, make some adjustments. All right, and then we'll go through our tone stack sweeps. All right, bring it down. That might be good. It gets dark and a little bit muddy when we have the mid all the way down. It kind of thins out a little bit when it's all the way up as well, but it is bringing some good mid frequency, so we're going to keep that there. And then our treble. That's a bit brittle. Presence. I think I like that. Let's bring this down. Since the mids does add a little bit of top end, we're going to bring that down a little bit. All right, and then just going through, we can see we've got a mid switch. You could put this on a foot switch if you like to give you a bit of a different tone for a part. but here's how that's going to sound. That's cool. And then the jazz rock switch, that's going to get quite a bit quieter, and you're going to lose some liveliness. We'll keep it on rock. And then the overdrive switch, I'm not going to mess with that here today. We're focused on dialing in the amps. But that's something that you can hook up on a foot switch to engage that. The bright we're going to keep off, but here's how it sounds so far with what we've done with our tone stack, where bright switch is off, bright 1, bright 2. So it thins it up quite a bit. If you have real dark pickups, then that might be something that you'll want to adjust, include in your adjustment. The next thing we have are the FET boost and the PAB. They're just going to add boosts. So we're going to skip that. That's not going to be part of the dialing in the amp, but we'll go on to SAG. It adds quite a bit of smoothness. We'll bring that down 7.5. You can hear it there. All right, we'll bring that down. All right, and then ripple. Adds that thickness, so right around 6.5. I feel like that's a good amount. If it's less, it can be a little bit more brittle. We could adjust that though by bringing down our treble, but that does add some quality fullness. That is helping to add that dynamic low end to our amp setup. And we'll go on to our bias. This sounds like the sweet spot, and then our bias X. Not a ton of change on this one, so I'll bring it down to 6. All right, now we'll turn on our compressor. So without and with. And our holy mid-range. To my ear, the modeled amps just lack a bit of punch, and that frequency being pushed, even just at 1.5 decibels, it makes a difference to me, and I prefer it like that. All right, now I'm going to run through some sound samples with each of these setups, just with the amps, just the way we have it set up, just so you can hear how the characteristic of each amp really does still come through, even though they're all dialed in fairly similar. All right, let's do it. hope you found this video helpful. If you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. There are a handful of downloads free for you in the description box below. There's also a ton of great resources, including song tabs, song presets for HX Stomp and Helix, as well as dialed-in amps for both of those platforms as well. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.